So everybody got signed up for one of the prizes? Well, thank you for coming out this evening for my presentation here on Black Hills Panfish and Trout using location technology. If at any time you have any questions or comment or anything during this, just raise your hand and let me know and I'll point you out. Otherwise, we'll take plenty of Q&A at the end as well. I got it's a lengthy PowerPoint, but I try and get to them a little fast just to get to the fun stuff, the Q&A and drawings, of course. So you can have me slow down or stop anytime you want, just let me know. So the panfish and trout, they're pretty plentiful around here, but they can certainly be a pretty frustrating bunch of fish as well. You think that being, they're really easy to catch, but it's not so in a lot of cases. Like this morning, I found that out when I was up down at the stockade as far as fishing for bluegills. They can be the most skittish of fish, especially in shallow water. And that with your panfish, and even some of your trout, sometimes they can be a little bit like that too. Both can be the pickiest of eaters in terms of lures and colors and different sizes. Panfish can approach baits slowly and then just end up leaving for no apparent reason, even though they seem like they're stood on your Vex screen. Also, cases swimming a lot. Roaming trout will be in an area over a matter of days, and then suddenly they're gone. And you can move around a little bit, and you still can't find them. So, summer will focus on places to find these fish, using mobility and electronics to pinpoint those locations, as well as the ways to bring them topside. First, we'll go after perch. Really highly sought after in the wintertime, especially on Sheridan Lake. Early season, best to focus on shallower areas and under 20 feet of water along sharp break lines or sandy flat areas. A friend of mine went out yesterday to Sheridan. He was fishing about 15 foot water, he said, in sand, and did pretty well on it yesterday. Mid-season, that's middle of January through ice out. They're a little harder to find. They suspend over deeper basins. If you're familiar with how they work on Sheridan Lake, they roam, and they can be extremely hard to find unless you keep moving, and searching, until you can find the schools. Deerfield is real popular mid to late ice location for perch, as they're often schooled up. And once you've located them, it can be pretty easy to catch them. I've had a lot of times I'm fishing in 30 feet of water for them or more, and you'll drop that bait down, and you'll just watch them rise up to meet your bait. It's kind of fun to watch. Usually, your size has always been fun up there, but there are some really big ones there. Bluegills. While abundant in the larger lakes, such as Pectoral and Stockade, to me they probably require the most finesse of any fish in the hills. Early season, if you find them in shallower water, less than 15 feet, usually in weeds or along weed lines. If you do any kind of marking of using your graphs in the open water season, you're kind of familiar with where the different breaks and the different weed lines are at in a lot of the different lakes around here. Mid-season, they move deeper and will typically spin in schools, just like perch do. Late ice, they'll move back into the shallow weeds again in preparation for spawning. Stockade is probably one of the best places to go for early and late ice bluegills due to the amounts of cover they have. There's weed growth all over the place for them to hide on Stockade. Okay. And the size. There's also some of the bigger ones that we find that I found are usually in Stockade. Pectoral on the south side docks, usually a good area to find them kind of suspended amongst the different docks, which make great seat. So just drill a hole and set them in there. But size can be an issue. Crappies. Found in 3 main lakes here in the hills, as well as Angostura, Ormond, and Bear Butte. I don't think they're sought after as many of their panfish. It's probably a while, and sometimes we do catch them, especially on Bear Butte last year, or Angostura, Ormond, they do tend to be pretty decent size. Early winter, they tend to be found in the same areas as bluegills, shallow water, along weed lines, or if you find any sunken tree branches in less than 15 feet of water, also a good place to look for them. Midwinter, they'll move over the flats and following the microinvertebrates. Also pretty hard to find, unless you can find the schools. Late season, they'll return to the shallower breeding grounds again, just like most normal panfish do.
Jenny Gulch on Pactola is a good place to find them. Usually I've had pretty luck around different logs and branches they're hanging in the water. Stockade, and mixed in with the bluegills, and follow the same wintering patterns as them. Dakota Point's pretty usually here. Most crappies being caught on Sheridan Lake middle of the winter. This gets a little bit deeper, so you're suspended in that. Trout, probably the most pervasive fish in the hills. There are ample lakes, both large and small, for trout, but it's mostly rainbows. Look for mossy bottoms or areas of weeds standing up in bays or shallow areas for the most part. Less than 10 feet on most lakes for pretty much early, mid, late season. A lot of times I can find a lot of trout, these trout lakes in less than 10 feet of water. They got Center, Lakota, Sylvan, Mitchell, Horse Thief, Bismarck. They have a lot of mossy flats where the depth doesn't change much, but if you put it in, if you look down the hole, if it's clear, or if you're using our camera, you can see that that's usually hanging out around those mossy areas like that. Lake maps can help you find them as well. Deerfield, good spot to find them. Gold Run on the west side of the lake, off the Dutchman Launch area. And once again, usually less than 10, 15 feet of water. Sheridan, they tend to roam around a bit more, but they can be found deeper, usually suspended in 20 or 30 feet of water. It's a good time to set up, if you're fishing for trout there, it's a good time to set up some early warriors and kind of suspend them in the middle of the water column when the trout and perch are deeper. That trip last year where we were doing that with minnows with our warrior setups like this one, and we even caught some pretty nice rainbows that were shooting about the 10 to 15 foot area when we were over 30, 35 feet of water. Pactola, you can find in bays or suspended over deeper water, the same areas where you're allowed to go find lakers on Pactola. Using lake maps and electronics. Some of your different options. I like to use the Navionics app, which you can buy on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. It's probably one of the best ways to carry lake maps with you, is you can use it on your phone. If you don't have your boat sonar with you with GPS on it to mark where your spots are at. Nearly every lake in the hills here is contoured, even the smaller lakes. I think I know Sylvan's for sure contoured, Center's contoured. The larger ones, of course, will have the high definition, so you have like 1 foot increments on a lot of those lakes, like in the store or Pactola. So if you really want to dial in areas to find fish, the app is a really good one to purchase. And if I see that you can use it when you don't have service. I use it up in Deerfield a lot because there's no cell service up there, and it works just fine. It does cost $15 for the app, but once you do have the app, it has a lifetime of guarantee updates. So you buy it once and you're done, and it'll update when they get new maps out on the app. The State Game and Fish Parks website has a lot of extra content around here, though some that haven't updated. This is everybody's fishing, or hardcore lakes 9 years ago. So they will vary in quality. But they are free to print off, and they provide a good basis if you're looking kind of using the lake map to try to find your area before you want to buy something like the Navionics app. Look for on lake maps. When looking at a lake map, you want to recognize some features where fish may like to hang out. They are based on the depth of the natural features that are present on those maps. Humps or deep holes. These little islands or protrusions or depressions that you see on the map where they're near with similar depth, they're attracted to fish, they congregate there, especially panfish. They really like those little holes and humps that hang out around. Points with deep drop-offs, it's pretty good. You look for those for walleye fishing a lot. Well, the same applies for a lot of species of trout as well as perch, and for where it drops off quickly. Bays or long stretches, following shorelines, trout and bluegills, that's kind of your main area, especially with trout in smaller lakes, and especially, again, with this mossy or weed covered. Basin flats, the chosen middle area for crappies and perch, as well as some bluegill. These areas feature long stretches of the same depth over deeper water, and typically feature pretty muddy bottoms. So like an example, we have a few examples. Second stockade, you have long flats, and you've got different little humps here and there. You got your points where the depth drops off quickly, like especially on the dam here. These long stretches here, this has always been a pretty good area for bluegills for me. It's pretty weedy, and just that doesn't change a whole lot. So this stretch here is a good one. This morning I was in this area here fishing it's just flat. I was fishing there for bluegills, caught a few here and there between the bass and the pike that I was fishing too on the tip-ups. And then on the west side here as well, there's a lot of flats. A good place for more bluegill fishing. Sylvan for a smaller lake. You can see why, as far as the rainbow activity, it's just pretty much a lake of flats. There's just long stretches, and they pretty much just kind of follow these curves. I mean, this is a really good area. If you get up there, some days you'll catch 60 fish or more in less than 2 hours. In these areas, if the bite's really on. I was up there early season with my friend Matt, and we caught over 60 fish in 2 hours. Sheridan Lake. You've got a little bit of everything here. You've got your Dakota Point, so you've got your steep drop-offs. You've got long lines where you can find a lot of trout, perch. And then you got these deeper areas that the perch will suspend over in the middle of the winter. So Sheridan's kind of has a little bit of everything as far as with areas to look for fish. Just depends on when the season is going after them. Deerfield, more of the same. You got your points, you got your long basin long flats here. Good places again for trout here at Gold Run, or along this long stretch here on the west side. You got your perch fishing here on the deeper water off of Gold Run, or in the Dutchman area, or off these points here in this bay. Using your flash infrastructure ID. So while our Vexilars or whatever you might use, for seeing your lure, for seeing the fish, but you can also use them for structure identification, or it's right below you. Muddy or mossy bottoms tend to show up as red or orange on the Vex screen. Weedy areas, you get a mix of orange and green. Rocky transitions can be a mix of green and red. Those are always kind of fun ones to fish in just because of the different color transitions and where you can kind of fish your lure at. It's useful to know what you're looking at as far as structure, because it's going to help you find out if there's actually going to be fish below you or not, based on what is right below you. So be sure you're using your Vexilar, your marker, your Honeberg, your Lowrance, whatever float flasher you might use, for more than just seeing fish in your lure. Find a good spot, make it easier to read more of what's on your screen. Just a few examples here. So we got the first one here. Anyone want to know what this bottom looks like? What's that composed of?
Wheat and rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then this one here, pretty hard bottom. Yep. Same thing with this one here, pretty hard bottom. This is one of those weedy rocky transitions where you've got harder stuff here, and you got a rock here. So it's kind of fun trying to find out how to fish this. Sometimes the fish will be hiding in this area here, but you drop your lure in there and you lose it. So if you have any kind of zoom feature on your flasher, it's a good time to use it because it can help separate this out a little more. And the fun stuff, the gear. Stay light, stay mobile. With the amount of gear available to all of us these days, I mean, this is most of my stuff, but it's still not everything I have. It's easy to get bogged down, stay in one place, and not move to find fish. Hubs, gas augers, tip-ups, weather and wind, and a host of other reasons why you might just stay in one place, even if the fish aren't biting. You don't have to have an ATV or just know to stay mobile. Even though I just got my first 4-wheel last year, I still, before that, would move around as much as I could instead of staying down in one area, especially when the fish weren't biting. Bring only the gear that you will actually use, which is tough. There is so much out there. Even I'm guilty of not bringing more than I actually need to most of the time. Make a game plan using lake maps to help you with your trip, to help you stay mobile. Pick spots to look for. If possible, look into electric augers such as a K drill, or even the new Strike Master light flag or the pistol bit on an 18-volt lithium-powered drill. Look at lithium batteries for your units. I've had a Dakota lithium in my 28 now. This will be third year of running it, and if you lift this one up, this 18 up on a game spot, and this up, this is easily 3 or 4 pounds less because of that lifting battery in there. And then they also last a lot longer. I can run this about, when I first was testing its durability, its length it would last, I ran 47 hours straight before it died. So the batteries they last a good long time with those lifting batteries. Use small rod holders. They've got little one here, little one beneath here. Just keep light. Spoon boxes. You use your little spoon box here, throw them in. Don't throw a tackle box. Get a spoon box or a jig box like these. It'll help you stay more mobile and stay lighter. Because if you're not, before you're going to be hauling a lot of this stuff. So being lighter is a lot easier to do. Fishing backpacks like this one from the plan came off last year. Great way to fill everything that you need. You can fill plastics. You can throw your boxes. It comes with boxes. Throw your flash rod thing. It will fit. Fits exactly into the top spot here. You can carry almost everything you need on your back. So you're on the spots. Now you can try to catch those panties. Different rods. If you saw the rods I have here, I have a little bit of mix of a lot of ultralight, light, and a medium lighter too. For panties, ultralight to light action rods with fast tips. That's what I like, protecting those light bites. Noodle rods I've really kind of gotten into the last couple of years. Or spring bobbers, or even better bets if you're for panties, which you can see a lot easier with either a spring bobber or with a tip on it. Clams, St. Croix, Northland Tackle, they both make different rods like that. Reels, inlines for shallow water. You notice I got a few inlines up here. I got more at home still. Less than 25 feet of water work really good because they generate less twist in the line, so your jigs aren't spinning around when they get down below. I got the example of the Northland Rod. This is the new Northland Cherry Picker. It's got a really quick little tip, but a lot of backbone. So it's really good to use, it'll handle bigger fish. You'll see those light biters, and it'll have enough backbone in it to handle larger fish as well. This one's a 28-inch. The one that's going to be one of the prizes is a 24-inch there in the box. And yes, this blade, all their color, their rods are all pretty bright this year. This blade, that's why I won't lose this in the ice and snow. And whoever wins the 24-inch one. Now you're on the spot for trout. If you want lots of action on a rod from a hard fighting trout, stick to those ultralights and lights. You catch about a 16, 17-inch rainbow, and your little ultralight rod will be taken for a ride for sure. Though a soft medium one is great for better control. You'll handle their shakes more. Graphite rods are nice for sensitivity. The noodle rods or glass or fiberglass rods will show the bites easier if you prefer seeing the bite rather than feeling the bite. And one of the new ones that came out, I'm sure you've probably seen this one if I see on Facebook or not, but the new Redline series of rods from Cold Snap Outdoors. This is the medium light version here. Are really nice rods. They're based off of the rods that Glacier Lakes Outdoors made as far as custom rods, but they are less than half the price. This rod is $50 instead of $110, which it would have been originally for a custom blank. So if you haven't had a chance to see the rods yet, they should go to the website. This has been a really good rod for trout for me this year so far. It is a medium light, but it's got a really soft tip and you feel everything on the bite. So definitely give it a look if you haven't yet. Some brand new stuff for the season here. So from Clam, you've got the new Scepter rod. It's a graphite rod, about $40 rod at retail prices. Really nice, sensitive rod. It was designed to be pistol grip. If you saw the one up here that I've got, this is the 30-inch noodle version. But it's meant to be because of how short the handle is and where the blank runs into the rod. It's designed for pistol grip. So you're always in contact with the graphite rod. We used this for the first time today, and it worked out really well. Plus, it's got that noodle tip, but it's got a lot of backbone because of that graphite instead of fiberglass. And one of the ones I have that's one of the other rods for a drawing up here is it's a 24-inch ultralight with a spring bobber. It's got a lot of backbone, but it's got that nice soft tip or that spring bobber if you want to use it to detect those really light bites. And you've got the new Scuddy the Mackie Scuddy plastic. We got the new jointed pinhead, which I've got some of those in the 16th and 8th ounce version. That's the bigger ones for walleyes. Some of that doesn't go over well to move back and forth with just a little tip of your rod. And then we got the new swirl drops this year. They're supposed to see more bud-like patterns. Is what they are. I got a few of those if you wanted to see them too. Northland tackle. There's the new eyeball spoon. I'm sure as a lot of us as kids, we probably remember fishing. I mean, my grandpa fished with perch eyes all the time when I was a kid growing up. Totally illegal, but you know what I mean as a kid. But we used to fish a lot of perch on perch eyes. So Northland came out with this new eye spoon this year, and they've got about 4 or 5 different colors. I've got one on one of my rods up here. If you do care to take a look at it, but I think put some plastics or some spikes on this thing, and you should be able to catch a lot of perch. Or even there's quarter ounce sizes too for walleyes. But that eyeball just gives them something to pick and go after. And of course, the new Northland's new line of rods: the cherry picker, the haymaker, and the boomstick. Boomsticks are for the big predators. They're not actually available to buy yet, but the haymakers and cherry pickers are. The haymaker is more of a graphite. It's more of a graphite rod, more of a field rod. Whereas cherry pickers, like you saw, really soft front tip and then backbone. And then Euro tackle. They got their new Gamma Scud. This one, this is a really good. This worked pretty well for me earlier this season as well. And you got the new T-flasher, the tungsten spoons that came out this year. Those are really good for getting deep fast, especially like if you're like mid-season perch fishing. Jigs. You got your typical one circling plan. You got the drop kick. You got the caviar drop, the swirl drop. My drop kick is probably one of my favorite, probably my favorite jig for panfish or for trout, just because of how it really moves a plastic kick. It can move around when you're just jigging it a little bit. Northland. You got your glow shot jig from last year. I use it mostly for dead sticker myself. With the smaller 8th ounce, you can use that for just stick a minnow or a bunch of waxies on it. It works pretty well. And then Slayer Custom Jigs is a local place in Sioux Falls that I've been using a lot of this year. I've got a whole lineup of their jigs and this one here. As far as colors and tungsten quality goes, really tough to beat their jigs. So they usually have every Friday. They usually load it when you load their site up, and it's a good time to take a look at them. Like tomorrow, we see what they have available. They're really good quality jigs. Spoons. You got your blade spoons, the leech flutter spoon. Everybody knows the leech flutter spoon around here. Craig really made that popular a few years ago. And of course the jointed pinhead. In Northland, you've got your glow shot spoon, the new eyeball spoon, and then the original rattle spoon there. Of course, my absolute favorite panfish spoon is definitely the Demon Tongues from 8 My Bait and J&S Custom Jigs. If you haven't had a chance to try one of these out, you can usually buy them at Shield or Cabela's. They are, or on their website, they are an awesome little jig, awesome little spoon, a lot of action, that little tongue in the middle, flutters even when the bigger one's not fluttering.
What's that company again?
It's J&S Custom Jigs or 8mybait.com is where you can buy them online. And I think I've usually seen them at Cabela's most years too. But they're a relatively expensive spoon. You can buy them for like $2 or $3. But for a panfish spoon, they were really, really tough to beat. Plastics. You got your Mackie plastics here from Clam. You got the Jamie, the Maddie, the new Scuddy, and of course the Craigie. Works, designed by Mr. Oil himself. I know the Rooster sells those. Those are a good one to use for trout. You got Northland. You got their Impulse line up here. These are the two that I normally would use. The Water Flea and the Skeleminnow. J&S Custom Jigs has got the Versamite and the regular Ice Mite. Euro Tackle, you've got the Scud, and you've got the Crazy Critter. And of course, for Mr. Anthony here, he designed a whole new lineup of ice plastics this year. If you haven't had a chance to see them, I have some right here in pink and white. If you saw my post this morning on Facebook, that's what the little white one was what it was caught on. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance, take a look at these things. They are pretty neat, and they have some good tail action on them too, especially for using them on jigs. And if you have any questions about any colors or not, he is here in the crowd in the back there. You can talk to him after the seminar, and he can arrange about most colors that he can get for you here. And he did donate a rather nice couple boxes there, including a very large box of plastics. So be sure to do Winslow the first thank you. And don't forget those accessories. Cold Snap Outdoors, again, they carry a variety of different accessories to make your time more efficient. You've got, of course, the Cold Snap cover. They pretty much have a model for, a maker model for almost any auger out in the market right now. So, it's a good way, the ones that come with your blades, usually they pop off pretty easy. This sucker, you really can't, unless you're gonna actually try and pull this apart and bring it off, it ain't gonna pop off. And they do come with a lifetime warranty on that, and that rubber seal around it too. The rod clamps, really good to stick in your shacks. Reel wraps, you notice a lot of my rods up here all have reel wraps on them. They keep that wrap, they keep it nice and secure. They got the new Pro wrap this year that if you have split grip rods, the new feature on that helps keep up. You roll those wraps on a lot easier. T2 toothpick, which some of you looked at when you came in, the pink ones, and I've got a bunch up here too that we have for questions. Probably one accessory, if you don't have it yet, get one. It's only about $2 or $5 if you want one with a lanyard on it. It's the best way to keep fish from dying if they get dehooked. You just stick that down there and pop the jigs out, and the fish will more likely will survive. They're really a good little tool, very inexpensive tool to have if you don't already have one. And plus, it also saves your jigs. Tungsten jigs are expensive, but they can break a little easier than lead jigs. So just go to the website, coldsnapoutdoors.com. You can find all those, including the Redline Series rods as well. Online resources, HSM Outdoors. A lot of you probably follow it. If you don't, you're doing one to like. This evening, it's a social media marketing company whose staff posts up-to-date reports on pretty much anything outdoor related: fishing, hunting, game processing, hiking. So they always post these reports on Facebook or on their website at hsmoutdoorsllc.com. Read the fish reports in the journal. I mean, most of it, I read this every Thursday. I was fishing this morning, didn't read for this afternoon, so I haven't read it yet, but I will read it tomorrow for sure. The Roosters Facebook page, they recently gave a good update on ice conditions. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to take a look. Or there are several other local and regional Facebook forum pages, such as Black Hills West River Ice Fishing, West River Fishing Report, and Ice Fishing South Dakota, and there's one or two more out there too for the South Dakota area. If you actually want some actual human interaction, Rooster is probably the best resource to ask about as far as what's going on, what's working, what places safe ice. They carry a large selection of all types of gear. They have the best variety of bait in the state, as far as I'm concerned, and the only place in town to get good magnets. So be sure to support our local store. In conclusion, so by looking for certain features on a lake map, it's easier to break down a lake and have spots in mind where panfish trout will most likely to be before you go out. By understanding what the bottom features look like on your Vexilar or other flasher screen, you can further break down an area even more, just to kind of figure out what might be there to attract fish that you want to go after. Stay mobile when looking for panfish and trout. Don't get bedded down. And having the right gear can help you increase your catch as well as your efficiency on the ice. So I'm especially want to point out to especially thank these groups that donated to my seminar here: Clam, Vexilar, Northland Tackle, HSM Outdoors, Cold Snap Outdoors, Bell's, Shields, Midwest Hunting and Fishing Magazine, The Rooster, Kevin from Wild Outfitters, and Anthony from Titan Lures for their donations and for their support of the seminar here. So if you have a chance, be sure to give them a thank you for what they do for the seminar. If you win anything, especially, let them know and say thank you for for their donation. If you need any more, You can always get a hold of me anytime. You can contact me on my email address there. I have some cards on the table that have the same contact information on it from Facebook or on my website online. And otherwise, that is it. So, I will open her up to any questions. If anybody wants to give me a hand with the handouts. All right, we got in the green shirt here. Is that you? As far as what you want to use, if you want to use plastics or live bait, I'll tell you what you're comfortable with. I switched over to pretty much fishing exclusively with plastics about 4 winters ago. I think I catch just as much or more on plastics because of the action, and the bait also lasts a lot longer with plastics, whereas if you're fishing with minnows or maggots, you tend to have to replace those after every fish. Whereas with the plastic, if you put it on, it'll stay on. With minor adjustments here, you know, the fish, it'll stay on for a lot of fish. He's already did. Here we go. All right, next, in front. Well, I do fish. I once want to fish on Pactola. I'm not the best at going for Lakers, but typically I'm using big heavy spoons, usually at least a 1/4 ounce, sometimes 3/8 ounce, or tungsten, or big tungsten jigs like the Crown tungsten jigs. And I'll throw on a big plastic, a Crate XL, or just anything that's, or even like open water walleye, grow up at least 3 or 4 inches long, just to get a lot of action. And then of course dead sticks I'll put out usually 2 or 3 early border setups usually with shiners on them. And usually I'll vary those in depth depending on where I'm fishing at.
I know a lot of times we're concerned about swim bladders, fishing deep. What do you say, like, how deep are you gonna go before you say, hey, I'm gonna bring one?
For the most part, if it's under 20, if it's over 25 feet deep, you might have to think about bringing it up slow, especially with perch. I've had that issue with perch. If you bring them up too fast, even that shallow, I mean, I think it's pretty shallow, but I've had some boys pop out of them before bringing them up from 25 feet of water. Especially in midwinter when they get down to like 40 or 50 feet deep. You have to reel pretty dang, if you don't want to keep them, you have to reel them pretty dang slow. And even then, there's still no guarantee. I mean, I've caught 8, 9 inch perch in that deep water. And it'll take me 2 or 3 minutes to reel them up slowly, because I try and reel and I stop, reel and I stop. Keeping the pressure on, keep the hook in their mouths from there, but even then, I still have bladders pop out. So it's really hard. And so unless you plan on keeping fish, you're fishing that deep, reel really, really slowly. That's delivery. My favorite place for ice fishing. Ooh, that's a toughie. Yeah, where the fish are biting. That's the best answer right there. Yeah. If I had to pick a place, I would say it'd be a toss-up between Stockade and Deerfield. And you can catch usually a lot of perch at Deerfield, or some pretty big trout, or even a chance at a Laker, or Stockade. I'm pretty comfortable going down there, going after bluegills and crappies, and you might catch the occasional bass or a pike now too. So, yes, creature. Depends on what I'm fishing for. If I'm fishing for panfish, it would be the drop kick, definitely. If I'm fishing for trout, then it's going to be either a slightly bigger drop kick or jigs. I mean, I have a lot of jigs. If you didn't know what I say about, I have to use at least 5 millimeter size tungsten jigs. If I'm spoon fishing for trout, then I'll be looking more like the pinhead minnows or the demon tongue. Walleye, so it's all about big spoons. I like to use buckshot spoons with a minnow head. That's it.
So I generally chase lake trout. I love Pactola for that. And I consistently hear Deerfield, people catch lake trout in like 5 feet of water. What's going on? Is that am I missing something in Pactola? Because
I'm not really sure why the Lakers in Deerfield prefer shallow water. You never hear about them being caught in deep water in Deerfield. And the ones when they first were released, 3 or 4 years ago, we had a pretty good winter, catching them in less than 5 feet, less than 6 feet of water. And I think they go, and you know, as far as in the summertime, I never hear about many being caught open water a lot of times on Deerfield. But the ones that I've caught myself, or I've seen other people catch, have always been in less than 6, 7 feet of water. And I'm not sure if it's because they're still pretty new and they haven't acclimated to those depths yet, or if that's just where their food's hiding. You know, I'm not can't really say for sure why it's such a shallow place to fish for them there at Deerfield, for sure. Yes.
How do you know what size to use?
As far as,
Anything?
well, you kind of let the fish determine that. If you're going for panfish, I usually stick to like 32nd ounce jig. It's a little bit smaller because you know bluegills don't have a big mouth. And then if I go for trout, I usually go for like a 16th ounce or maybe an 1/8 ounce, depending on what lure I'm using. Usually the fish I'm going for determines the size of the lure I'm using. Bluegills small, medium, large, or even if the fish are being really aggressive, you can even try upgrading here a little bit. You know, try and fish with a 16th ounce for bluegills if they're being really aggressive. Yes, but they may not be aggressive. And I've had, there's days when the big fish don't want to bite up big presentation. You downsize. You kind of put the fish to tell you what size to use. Best bait? Well, if you don't use plastics, red maggots, definitely. Otherwise, I like to use the Jamie, a couple of those new patterns that Anthony made this year, quickly becoming favorites of mine. I'm pretty much plastics exclusive, except for walleye. I'm pretty much plastics exclusive, so I'll stick to my plastics. Yes, sir.
Catching walleyes found in stockade, what's the size, how big are those walleyes in?
The last time I saw one caught was last winter, and it was right around 12 inches, is what I heard, what they said it was. So Sheridan, I saw one caught earlier, like a week or two ago. They posted on one of those forum pages, and it wasn't much bigger than 8 inches, I think. It was pretty small. So I don't think some of them are probably big, but I don't think a lot of them are growing much, those that have survived from the stocking.
Back to what you talked about earlier, if that bladder comes out, is that pretty much a death sentence?
Yeah, if that bladder's out,
There's no sense in putting it back.
No, you might as well just keep it. If it's out, it's out, and get it going back, and that fish is just gonna die. Yeah.
What's the benefits to the clamp blade on the K-drill?
Well, I tried using a K-drill a few years ago with just a drill attached to it. I borrowed it from Matt. And I noticed that whenever I was drilling, it wants to kind of torque a little bit. But when I put it on the drill plate here, that's gone. You just drill straight down. It adds a few more pounds to it. So it's about 15 pounds to 12 without it. But it's a lot easier to drill with the plate on. More stability. Yeah, exactly. Plus, anybody can really drill. I let little kids I've taken out drill with this, and it's no problem for them. Versus, you'd have to really hold it on pretty hard for them if it was just a drill. And I know a lot of people still use the drill directly to their K-drill or pistol bit or whatever they're using these days. But I prefer to have a few extra pounds for the extra stability that provides. I mean, it's still so light, even at 15 pounds with this setup. It beats the 30. Oh yes, it does keep your drilling batteries. I just don't put it down like this all the time. And I think that
battery holds up.
Well, if I'm not using the battery or the drill for a little while, if I've drilled like a dozen holes or so, I'll take the battery out and I'll put it inside my pocket in my ice armor suit and just keep so it stays warm. You can take a cooler, like one of those foldable coolers, throw your batteries in there with one of those little dollar heating pads. A lot of guys do that. That works for that. That's an easy way to keep your batteries warm. But even though they are lithium batteries, they will still, if you leave them on the cold for a while, they will still die a lot faster. Just as fast as drilling the thicker ice will do it, depending on where you're at. But yeah, there's easy ways to keep it warm, just if you have a little cooler or just a big pocket on the inside where. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that's the big mystery with Sheridan for me. I mean, I've fished the lake pretty regularly, ice wise for 8 years now. And it's once that middle of January hits,
it just gets really hard to find perch. I mean, I've run, I got a four-wheeler now that I prefer them to try this year with it. But so it might make searching a little bit faster for me, because otherwise you're drilling holes, you're checking, you move, you drill a hole, you check in until you can find a school. And then once you find the school, you catch a few fish there, and you got to try to find them where they're moving. So yeah, it's kind of a big mystery for me to share. It's just, once you find them, you can usually catch a few, but finding them is just so hard, especially in that middle of winter time. In the back.
Hey, Garrett, two-prong question.
Mhm.
So if you had to like narrow down like 3 pieces of equipment that you would invest and not like skimp on quality-wise,
Mhm.
and then also on the flip side of that, what would be some inexpensive, like 3 inexpensive pieces of equipment besides that T-stick there you're talking about?
Toothpick.
Um,
So yeah, the top 3 things to not skimp on if you're looking at would be auger, ice suit, and flasher. Do not skimp on those. Those are probably the 3 most vital things you will need for ice fishing. Is the suit. There's Clam's got the ice armor suits, Bear's got suits, Eskimo's got suits. Most of the ice fishing companies have all got suits. But yeah, don't skimp on the suit. You want something that's waterproof, windproof, and insulated. Insulation varies depending on what model of suit you look at. If you're looking for a flasher, like I said, I run Vex, I've been running Vex for a while now. You don't have to necessarily go up to the Cadillac here at the 28 because it's a little spendy. But a Gibbs Pack 18 here is very reasonably priced, and it will last you a long time. And also will give you that. I was talking about that zoom feature. This is where it starts. And if you're a pan fisherman, or especially for perch, zoom is a necessary thing, I think, just because to separate the bottom from the fish, you gotta want to see it with the zoom. As far as the 3 least expensive things that you could look at, I would say definitely a toothpick, definitely, and then probably about a $40 rod combo. Just probably about a light to a medium light. That's kind of your basic, for most species of fish, a light to a medium light. You don't have to go, multiple different rods like I do for different species, different techniques, different lures, unless you really get into it. Then you can look at some better quality stuff as far as like the higher graphite counts and whatnot. And then spike and ice cleat is probably my next thing. You can pick those up for $10. But if you fall on the ice, you could get hurt, you get injured. If you fall through the ice, those are nice to have. You can get a grip, on the back and get yourself out of trouble. With that, it was a lot easier too. So, and I will have to add a 4th thing to that too, as long as we're talking about safety. Picks. Get picks. Early, late season, do not leave the house without these. Do not get on the ice without these. They're $7 to $10. You can pick them up pretty cheap. So I've had a 4th onto that. At least the things that they should have. Definitely picks. What's that? Oh, my Auger micro. Yeah, I didn't bring it with me today, but yeah, I do like to use the camera, especially for late season, just to check what's below as far as weed growth, if the weeds are green yet, or if they're still brown. Because when the weeds are green, they're letting off oxygen. That brings in the microinvertebrates and the prey that the other fish will want to come in and for. So I definitely say if you have a camera, use it. It's probably the best way to ID what's below you, unless you want to use, like you said, with your Vexilars or your flashes to ID what's below you. Mark?
Scott, I want to go back to your deep water bladder issue. Do they have any fizzing techniques for them?
Fizzing techniques for deeper water fish. I know I've seen like where some people like take a needle and they'll poke the swim bladder.
I've done that.
You done that?
30, 40 feet of water,
Mhm.
because they won't stay upright. So
Yeah.
you have to fizz them.
Does that work pretty well? Or?
If you're fishing a turn or something, you want to keep, it works.
Okay.
But it's very critical where you do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they offer that for any other fish.
I haven't really seen it, or heard anything as far as very smaller fish like perch, no. But if there's a way to keep the swim level popping out of their mouth, I would be all for trying to figure out what that technique would be. Yes, sir. Oh, I think I've seen it at the Rooster. I think is it? Yeah. I think I've seen it. I haven't used it before. I'm not even sure how it worked, honestly. So that's actually So that. Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, the little tool we were just talking about, yeah, I've seen it at the rooster the last couple of winters. That would definitely something to look at as far as keeping your perch from dying, keeping some of these swing bladders. This room over here, anybody beside the room? Kind of over here a lot. No?
That's my
Yes.
question. What lakes have good ice on them now? Where you
Right now, you've got, most of your trout lakes, you know, trout lakes have all got good ice for the most part. Roe Bay's got 6 or 7 inches of ice on it. I've heard center should be, except for the middle part of the lake, it should be okay. I was on Stockade today. It had 5-6 inches of ice on the north side, near where the inlet is at, they pointed out on the map. What else is there? Sheridan, on the 3 to 5 Bay area, there have been people going out. That's where my friend yesterday when he caught his perch. That had 4 or 5 inches on it right now. Main body's still not safe, but yeah, 3 to 5 Bay is open for going. Just make sure you take the necessary precautions. Nice little guy here. How do you lose a spoon? Or use a spoon? Oh, okay, yeah. Well, usually for like panfish, I'm usually going in about 6 to 10 inch marks, just kind of bringing it up and letting the lure kind of flutter down. If I'm going for walleyes or trout, then I'm usually going closer to a foot, sometimes a 1.5 feet. I want that lure to flash and move and make noise if it's got any rattles in it. I want to attract the fish in. And if they do come in for it, then I'll usually switch to a little more the shorter movements just to make kind of still swim back and forth, but bigger movements for bigger fish. Yes.
Is there any particular color that you like to use, or does it change depending on the fish and the type of?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the fish. When I'm at Stockade, I'm going for bluegills. The red or pink color has always been a really good color for me. I use that a lot today. It's still working really well. I'm using this one actually kind of starting to peel off paint. I'm using it so much the last couple of winters. So that works really well for me down there. But otherwise, like at Low Bay, I've been a couple times. Pink, white, chartreuse work really well. So yeah, that's kind of why we have something. If I think of a standard color that's good for about everywhere, gold. Gold seems to work in clear water, cloudy water, and any species of fish. Gold usually pretty easy one to go after. Next question. Yes.
So what is the maximum depth you see for perch? Like, where's the maximum depth? You still see large perch?
Yeah. So like what's the max depth I've seen perching? I've seen it all the way down to 65 feet at Sheridan. It's pretty much you bring them up from that depth, no matter how slow you're gonna. The bladders are not really that deep. There's not really a way to avoid it. That's probably the deepest I've caught perch is that deep water. Otherwise, like a deer filt's usually about anywhere from 30 to 40 feet. And usually when we find perch in deer field like that, like I said before, they're usually schooled up, and they will head up to your lure. They'll meet you halfway up. I mean, I've had my entire bottom just literally come up on my flasher screen, and it's kind of cool to watch. It looks like a Christmas tree. But yeah, then if they meet you up at 20-25 feet, you don't have to worry about it so much as far as with the bladders, because they're coming up themselves. Yes. Toothpick? Well, let's see where we got one. Well, what you're going to do is, I'm sure nobody can see this, but okay, thank you. So you're going to take the little V shape is out there. You follow the line down to the lure, and you kind of slide it up onto the hook. And all you do is you just kind of either pop it out, or you push it in until it goes backwards and just twist it. That's why it has a little flat spot, so you can rip it and twist it pretty easy. And it works really well. Like I said, if they grab a lure deep, it's saved a lot of trout that I've caught, especially on the big state trout are pretty notorious for swallowing hooks. I've had a lot of trout that have swam away unharmed because of the toothpick. Whereas before, if I tried them before, I probably would have torn stuff out of their guts trying to get the hook out. So I said for from $3 to $5 investments, it's a very good tool to have. Yes, sir. I look for weeds. I mean, honestly, that's one of the reasons I was down at Stockade today was because on the inlet area, because the inlet area is just loaded with tall weeds. That's usually where I come open water. is I usually pick like a hole or a little kind of a corridor in the weeds, and I'll throw over that and I'll bring it through them. Usually they'll smack it right in those corridors or those open spots. So yeah, if I'm looking for pike, I typically, I'm looking for areas I remember from the summertime, and those are the areas I'll pick to go after for pike in the wintertime, because they'll still be around that area. They don't dive very deep, they're pretty shallow water fish. But they hang around those weeds pretty consistently. So we spread them out. Like today I was covering probably a 15-yard area with tippets, and just to kind of keep them spread out, kind of find out where they're biting, and then I move the tippets as they dive into a different spot, and then they would get them a bite or two. You just keep moving them as the fish come. Yeah, weeds is what shallow weeds for that. Yes, sir.
So like targeting, like, is it better to have live or dead roasted bait?
It kind of depends what the fish want, honestly. I was using shiners today. I usually prefer to use live bait for the most part when I'm going after pike. I do occasionally buy frozen smelt, like from the Rooster or Fair Foods, just because sometimes they want something that, if they've been pretty lethargic, just throw one of those on there and just kind of just put some slits in the belly, let the oil kind of get out, and they'll eat that too. I've also heard that guys will catch pike on hot dogs. I've seen video, I've seen it, so it does work. I haven't tried it myself yet, but it is in the memory bank to try and use one these days. Yeah, my favorite brands. Well, definitely. I've been using Clam before I got on their staff. So I believe in their brand. I've used Vex since before I got on their staff too. So those are the brands that I know I'm comfortable with. I know they're good quality products. But there are some different companies out there that I'm not with who I believe in their product. There is like Eurotackle. Like the Rooster sells a bunch of Eurotackle stuff. It's a good place to pick them up. They've got good plastics, good spoons. That Z-Viber, if you haven't heard that before, is a really popular spoon for panfish and trout. I've got a few of those myself. They're in my tackle box in my Vex here, if you want to see them later on. Otherwise, I'm using some of Anthony's plastics last couple years, open water, and this ice fishing season they work really well. Like I said, take a look. These things are pretty neat design. If you haven't to see them yet. But otherwise, and then like Slayer custom jigs, really quality jigs. Love the product. I'll use them a lot. Probably one of my top two jigs I'll use especially for trout. Last year they had a white and a red one called the Ghost Blood. That was a knockout at Deerfield for the bigger trout. So it just kind of depends on the brands you use and that you believe in are good products, as well as whether you're using them all the time or if you're just like me, or some brands you've used in a long time, or you've been using recently, but they still really work out and are good product. Yes.
Does Slayer like
You could always on their Facebook page. They are pretty. He does get back to you pretty quickly. As far as if you want to see a color, I've been trying to make Ghost Blood all winter so far because I want some more of the color because it's so good last year. They did it once this year. He did tell me to do it again. But if you want to recommend a color, a pattern, or a name, because if you look at their jigs on their website, they have some pretty crazy names for some of their jigs. They'll take it into consideration for sure. That's the back.
So what do you use, or what reviews do you use to decide what color patterns to use, or what color?
Well, that's usually why when I go up, I take no less than at least 4 rods when I go out. I always have at least 2 jigging rods and 2 spoon rods usually. So I have 2 ultralights and 2 lights normally. And I usually have, I'll pick like, if I'm going to Deerfield, for instance, for trout, I will have usually, I'd say probably a white jig and usually a red or chartreuse. And with the plastic, I usually go with either pink plastic or a chartreuse plastic. Okay, my best colors. If I'm going for panfish, red jigs, chartreuse colored jig, and then either pink or red plastic. It's kind of the way I usually with most spoons. I usually put maggots on spoons. I have a little more faith in using maggots on my panfish spoons, just because I think a little extra scent. The flash brings them in, so I just need a little scent to make them grab that treble hook. Okay. Jawjackers, I have seen them in action a couple times. If you don't want your fish to swallow a dead stick hook, those are what to get. I know what's the other one? The automatic fisherman, yeah. Those do about the same thing. They'll set the hook automatically for you, and you don't have to really worry about deep hooking a fish, because that's just what's for you. Versus, like I said, you try to bring notorious for swallowing hooks. I've had to do that a lot, especially if a real bear still dead stick. They'll swallow those hooks, and unless you have a toothpick, they're usually pretty tough to get out without killing the fish. But yeah, they're if you want to put out dead sticks and you want to have something consistent for you instead of like the Arctic Waters here, then yeah, definitely look at those automatic fishermen or yes.
Well, you're obviously an early ice fisherman. What techniques do you use to help keep yourself safe? Obviously, you talked about the picks. You just know the development of the lakes and the ice and where you can be safe. Because learning a lake around here is kind of hard packed. Totally, I never feel safe there.
Yeah, I really feel safe there even when it's middle winter. But yeah, usually I've got a spud bar. I always bring that out with me early and late ice. I got my float suit. I got my picks. I got my cleats on my feet. I have the safety rope. If you don't have one of those, I would encourage you to get those. But probably the best thing you can do is just don't go out by yourself. Bring a buddy with you. Always bring a buddy with you if you can when you're open water fishing. Otherwise, consider not going out unless you know for sure that the ice is at least 4 inches or better. I mean, I've been out on some 2.5 inch ice before, but I was with a friend and the ice was very clear and hard. I don't recommend doing that. Neither does the state. If just when you get that ice, when you get that first cold snap, it kind of gets the ice. It kind of gets that excitement building. So I want to get out as soon as I know there's safe ice to get on. I just make sure that I'm taking the proper precautions. But the best way is to, if you're going to a lake that's got ice but you don't know how thick the ice is, get a good spud bar. Get a clam, get an Eskimo, get an HT if you're able to make a spud bar. And make sure when you slam or using it, hit the ice pretty hard. I think there's some videos out there that show kind of how much ice is there per hit with a spud bar. If you smack it usually good, you don't bust through, it's at least 2 or 3 inches thick. If it goes through in one, back away. You can't keep. We ran into that Sylvan earlier this year where with one poke and we were fishing about 3 or 4 inches. And because you get through in about 2 hits, but a little further out, it was one hit you were through. So we stayed away from that area. So yeah, as far as checking a lake that you're going to be familiar with, a spud bar is definitely the way to go early ice.
Have you heard anything yet about Bear Butte Lake?
I have not. I really want to go to Bear Butte this year. Last year, as a lot of you probably saw, there were some decent sized walleyes and crappies that were coming out of Bear Butte. I went there once, but it was right after a hard melt. And when you're fishing, when the water is 2 feet deep on the surface and you're trying to jig and the water's swirling down the hole, you ain't gonna do it too much. But yeah, this year I'm hoping to hit a lot more once it freezes up. I know if we get this cold weather sticks around for a couple weeks, it might get close to being walkable. But one way to check is to go down and actually spud by yourself out. Yes.
I'm pretty new to this ice fishing thing. This is my first winter. I'm a big saltwater fisherman. So what is the difference between ice fishing waters and saltwater? Why is there complete difference?
Well, some people do use, like regular jigs, open water jigs. Before I started getting all these ice fishing specific ones, I used just regular open water jigs a lot. Or even, like your Daredevil spoons. Those can be used ice fishing too. It's just that there's a lot of these lures and spoons that are really geared, for the season. The tungstens, the thinner, lighter spoons. Because a lot of times in the wintertime, especially fishing for panfish and trout, they're not going to be going after the bigger stuff like the minnows and the spinners. And, the bigger spoons you're not going to be using in open water. They'll go after smaller ones, like bugs. A lot more times your vertical jigging ice fishing versus casting or trolling or jigging, open water where you're moving around a bit more. So I think that's the best I can think of why you probably want to look at this, some ice fishing lures as opposed to use your open water ones if you want. They'll probably still work. No, anything like a spinner, it's not going to work unless you're constantly doing this to make that blade spin. no, it ain't gonna work. I mean, you'd be better off using like the little jigs. That's one of my favorite open water trout lures. Still works good on open water. Or Castmaster. A lot of guys use Castmasters ice fishing too because they still wobble a lot when you bring them up and when you let them fall. So definitely, those are probably two lures I think of that are good open water lures that work well ice fishing too. On this side. Yes, look over here.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
What is the best lures for walleye?
Best lures for walleye, huh? Well, I'd say your buckshot spoons, your forward spoons, the clam flutter spoons. I'm pretty lucky with those with a minnow head. Pretty much most any kind of spoon that rattles, makes noise, or at least has some flash with a minnow head is probably your best bet. As far as colors, that's also determined by the fish. Gold's a good, everyday color to use. Chartreuse, sometimes pink or purple. Purple's one of the few colors that I don't use a lot of, except usually when I'm walleye fishing. Sometimes purple works. That's it.
What's the best way when you're ice fishing to avoid snagging the bottom?
Best way to avoid staying in the bottom of ice fishing. Well, if you're fishing in an area that has got, like you can see there's twigs or branches below that might be going below you. Avoid use the flasher or you just drill around that area and just put it down and just make sure you don't get caught. I mean, there's not really any way to, unless you're dropping it straight down into the bottom and it's really rocky, you might get snagged. I mean, I can tell you that I haven't gotten snagged, well, except when I'm fishing in branches, like in the J Gulch. I have gotten snagged a couple times, but otherwise I've never gotten snagged ice fishing with my lure. My favorite rod? Tough question. It just kind of depends on what particular rods got tied on that day. For the most part, today, today the Scepter was my favorite rod. I like the noodle action. I saw the bite, I felt the bite because of how it's designed. As far as my new favorite rod for trout, for the bigger fish was definitely the medium light Redline Series Cold Snap rod. Like I said, I felt everything. I didn't see the rod move at all. It was all feel. It was extremely sensitive. Because the medium light handles those hard fibers a lot easier too. So I really don't have a favorite rod. It just kind of depends on whatever rod's catching those fish at that time, I guess. That's what my best way to answer that. Yes.
So I've got a cheaper fish finder, guy, but it has a flasher set, and then you can buy the converter box or whatever in there. And is that comparable to Vexilars?
Well, I'm not familiar with the brand, but the best way to find out if it's going to work well for you would be to take it out and try it. If you can put the jig, because is it LCD or is it analog or?
It's analog.
Analog.
Yes, sir.
If you drop your lure down below it and it gives you an instant readout, and you move it up and it moves up with you on the screen, you're probably okay. I mean, I'm not familiar with the brand, I don't know the quality, but the best bet would be just try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, there's lots of options out there of different price ranges that you can look at. So you can go from anywhere from like $250, for like a Vex 8 to what's the Panoptics run now? $2,000. Panoptics, like our Panoptics, which is a really cool system. I've never seen it myself, but I've seen videos of it. $2,000. That's a lot of money for a flasher. Did anybody put their name in here? Anybody put their prizes? Just making sure here before we. A couple more we got stuff for you. Okay. A couple more questions, and then we'll do the drawing. Yes. I've wanted to try it, but I just haven't fished that shallow, I guess, to where I can do it. The best I've ever done was up at Dalton Lake. First ice 3 years ago. I think the ice was about 2.5 inches thick, but it was super clear ice. And when the water was only about 6 feet deep, you could see everything below you. That was kind of freaky when you first got on it. And you could see the fish swimming around. You could see the plants and the rocks. That's the closest I've ever come to sight fishing, and that's the only time I've ever tried it because the water was so clear and the ice was so clear. You could see the fish coming below you. I got a few. It was kind of a slow bite, but it was first ice. I was just happy to be on the ice. I used to use like Berkeley and Northland brands for a while. And a couple years ago, a client came out with their Frost line, and that's some super good line. It's a little bit more because Sunline tends to be it's kind of an more expensive brand of line itself. So like the fluorocarbon, I use fluorocarbon line for pretty much all my panfish and trout applications. And I just spool the whole spool with the fluorocarbon. I don't use leaders except for my predator fishing rods, my Lakers, my pike, and my walleye rods. But it's really strong stuff. I mean I caught that big, that nice big bass today. It's only a 3-pound test. The line, and I've got some pretty decent sized fish on this line. I use more than anywhere from 3 to 5 pound test. So I know it's good. It's a really good line. It'll last the whole season. You don't have to replace it. I don't use a lot of mono. The mono's usually a little bit cheaper for all brands. So if you like the mono, the stretch, try it out. But I would say if as far as the line I like, the Frost line is by far my favorite that I've used the last few years. One more.
You were talking about ice clarity. How this snow that last week how has it affected you guys in your parks?
Now, there wasn't hardly any snow on Stockade. The ice is a bit cloudy when I was there this morning. But I knew it was thicker because I talked to some guys and they said it was about anywhere from 4 to 6 inches thick. But I still spud by myself all the way out just to make sure. And then went all around where I was at because it's in the sun. That area was in the sun. It's in the sun almost all day when it's in there, so it's going to be a little cloudier than normal ice. But Robay isn't too bad. It was pretty. It's not clear ice, but it wasn't cloud like Stockade either. So it's good strong ice out there. I haven't heard how the ice quality is at they're fishing on Sheridan. They're fishing on the west side of Deerfield. I know Deer had about 4 to 5 inches on it before the blizzard. So it never gets really warm up there. So the ice will probably just fine even with that, the 20 inches of snow they got up there. I heard, so it'll still be okay. And once it melts a little bit, that ice will just get thicker and thicker. February we'll have about 2.5 to 3 feet of ice. You need to grow a tank on it. Okay, let's get to the big stuff here. So we'll draw for the kids rods first. We're going to throw in one of Anthony's. Throw in one of his beanies too. So our first rod is Addison Rieger. That's how it's said. Here you go. It's a nice 25-inch lake. Good rod for trout. All right, next. We got Zoe Schaefer. What's that?
Just gotta go grab her.
Okay. We'll put her aside. Nick Stewart. Okay. Come on up here, Zoe. We'll get you a ride here. Here we have Caitlin Hummer. Sorry. Outside. There you go. That'll be a fun one for trout at Deerfield. All right, and the last one we'll do the last rod and the bean. Garen Tindem. That's how it says. Gavin? Gavin? Oh boy, I started that.
Hold on. This is probably my handwriting. They had a little rubber out there.
Yeah. We'll do one of the plastics too for the kids too. All right, for some of Anthony's new plastics here. Canyon Isler? some designs in here again. I'll be able to catch a lot of fish with those. All right, so first for the adults, we will do one of the Rooster gift cards. Jason Kaiser.
We got Gavin here.
We'll give him his.
Jason had the lead.
Try to lead. Oh, go again. Here you go, buddy. Over here. Here you go, buddy. Catch a lot of fish with that. So, hey, it likes to be with it. All right, redraw for the gift card here. Marcy Whistler? Yep. We'll do this special 60th anniversary Vexilar beanie hat and one of those toothpicks that has that they did this year with that has their logo on as well. Mike Wagoner? All right, and then we'll do one of Anthony's lures here again. Beth Coates. So if you got any questions about these, just ask me. All right, the other Rooster gift card. Pat White. You guys who won these, make sure those get let them make sure to thank them when you guys go there and get your stuff with it.
There's bait for tomorrow.
All right, we have one of the rods here. Robert Wood. Bob or Jim on the tip here. It's kind of a neat design feature. All right, another one of the rods. Tucker Drain. Thank you. All right. We'll do the last rod here. Oh, with that rod, we'll throw in just the rod. Tristan Dawson. All right, now we'll do the $50 Shields gift card. Ron Fisher. There you go. Now, if you have any questions about anything of this, I will be at Shields this Saturday and next Saturday doing promotions for Vexilar. So if you have any questions about any of the units or want to see whatever sale prices have been going on, swing on by and talk to one of the associates. I will also have a couple of those hat and beanie combos. For the first, I have 2 of those that I kept for this, so the first 2 people to buy a Vex will get one of those combos for free. All right, and then with Anthony's very, very large, generous collection of plastics here. There's a lot of plastic, different sizes, different designs. And he's even throwing in a couple of tungsten lures to use them, tungsten jigs to use them too. We'll throw in the beanie with that. He's going to be using all his plastics, you should represent it, right? All right. Matt Muehlbauer. Thank you again, Anthony, for your donations. I appreciate it. All right, next we will do the cherry picker, new Northland cherry picker rod. Anna Souza, Anna Carolina Souza. No.
Yep, that's what it says.
Here, okay. Draw again. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Although I should know this. Tyler Smorgovitz. Nope. I should know that. And then we'll do the clam scepter rod here for this one. Mr. Brad Hummer. All right, and then the last prize is the big one, the big guided ice fishing trip from Kevin at Wildlaw Outfitters. Is Kevin here today? I don't know if I must not will make it in. Well, I want if I can get hold of him for you if you want to chat with him about when to arrange this, or you can get him on Facebook or through their Facebook page as well if you have it to message him. And the big winner is Frank Alloway. Just get a hold of him on. We'll just spread your information there, and I'll make sure it gets a hold of you. All right, guys. Well, that's the presentation and everything here. Like I said, if you have any questions after this, come up to me now. You can talk to any of us here, like talk to anything you want, talk to anyone else. Get a hold of me anytime. I'll meet anybody on the ice who wants to go out on the ice. Just let me know. Thanks everybody for coming. I do appreciate it.